don't give it just yet. I can see that you completely changed who you are and grown so much over the past 2 years. Keep giving that a shot. Yes, send your resumes out, but don't give up on yourself on the business front. Keep pushing for another few months. See how you go. And so from that night, funnily enough, from when she said that, I got booked onto one of my first speaking gigs on stage. And from that speaking gig, I landed 2 clients at a higher price than I've ever charged. And those 2 clients covered all of our expenses.
Yeah. How long did that take for you to wake up one day and realize we're starting to get some results and I'm not that terrible and something's happening here?
I think probably about 2.5 years. So I really struggled in business for about 2.5 years. We had a bunch of savings that we blew through within the first 6 months. And then we started to tap into our mortgage. We had a bunch of money in our mortgage, and so we started pulling money out of the mortgage. And it wasn't until about 2.5 years into the business where, funnily enough, I was about to give up that we kind of turned a corner and started to be able to pay all the bills. And then we've grown quite steadily from that point.
So, wow. Okay. So you had savings. You had to invest the savings to stay afloat. You then had to take equity out of your home or take money out of your mortgage to be able to keep the business going. And you almost gave up right when you turned the corner. Can you take us to that time, please? Right when you're ready to give up, it's got to be leveraged and stressed and really, really challenging time. What was that like?
It was, I think this is where I think I was very, very lucky in that my wife has been a partner in everything that I've done so far and my biggest supporter. And I think this is where a lot of people, might not have, where they give up too early because they don't have the support behind them to push them to do more. So I remember sitting there one night, and this was when we were struggling again, pulling money from our maxed out credit cards, pulling them into expenses, trying to make the mortgage payments, putting money into the mortgage so it looks like we paid the mortgage, then taking it out in a few days' time after the payments had gone through to put it back into the credit cards. This was at a point where we just sat there and said, we don't have any more that we can do. There's no more money we can move around to try and make it look like we're paying the bills. And so I said to her, look, I think this is it. I think we've set ourselves back by 10 years because at this point we'd blown through 10 years of savings. I said, I think I've made a horrible mistake. We put ourselves back by more than 10 years financially. I think I'm going to have to go back to work. I think I'm going to have to go back and to actually get a job again. And so my wife turned around and she said, look, obviously it's not a great situation. And, I'm not going to stop you from sending resumes out. But she also said to me, like, I think you've actually changed completely. You've grown to a different person. So don't give up just yet. Don't give it just yet. I can see that you completely changed who you are and grown so much over the past 2 years. Keep giving that a shot. Yes, send your resumes out, but don't give up on yourself on the business front. Keep pushing for another few months. See how you go. And so from that night, funnily enough, from when she said that, I got booked onto one of my first speaking gigs on stage. And from that speaking gig, I landed 2 clients at a higher price than I've ever charged. And those 2 clients covered all of our expenses. And so that was like a massive sigh of relief. It's like, oh my God, I don't have to take money we don't have to put into the credit card, to put into the mortgage. We can actually pay, not pay ourselves well, but we can make ends meet. And so that was in and of itself just we went through that, got 2 good clients, started to get more clients on board. And then that got us to the point where we were actually making profit on the business itself.
Wow. And if I'm adding this up right, that wasn't that long ago. That was like 4.5 years ago. And you hit that, I guess you could call it that tipping point or that breaking point. And your wife showed up strong, man. Kudos to her. I mean, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, respect to her for this. And okay, well, so from that point moving forward, things have continued to grow. So what's it been like for the last few years once you turned that corner and things have started to take off for you?
Yeah, I mean, not without its challenges. And I think one of the things that I've started to realize was that the challenges and the problems never really go away, and they just grow in terms of scale. So, going from that moment, even though we could pay the bills and everything was okay from there was issue of capacity. So even though I had got these great clients on board, we were paying the bills at that point. I was then doing massive days, right? I had to do client delivery to get these clients on board. I promised them the world. So we were just literally doing everything that they wanted for their marketing, and the scope of the projects were massive. So the hours are crazy. I was getting burnt out from doing the work. And then if we ever had a client drop, I had to go back and try and do more work to find new clients. So that was a bit of a challenge in and of itself as well. And so at that point, I engaged a really great coach who's still helping me to this day to work on the operations side. So now we've got, I see it as a series of challenges. The first challenge was getting to $10,000 a month. That was so difficult. Once we hit that and got to $25,000 a month through just sheer will and brute effort, the challenge was, well, I can't replicate this because I don't have any time. I don't have any mental space. And so the next challenge was to get to $50,000 a month. And at that point, there were other challenges around how do I hire new team members? How do I hire staff? How do I get better at leading? And then from $50,000 to $100,000 a month, it was that in and of itself is another series of challenges. It's the balance, it's the leadership, it's your own marketing, it's our offers that we've got to look at. And beyond that, again, there's scales to this. So I think the best example of that is I was sitting with a friend of mine, a client of mine, and they're doing $50 million, $100 million a year in their business. And so I was complaining to them about us having blown through $5,000 in ads and not getting results. And he turned around and said, well, last month, our CMO spent $180,000 and we didn't set everything up right. So we actually wasted $180,000. So then you start to understand, there's many more steps to this and there's much more scale in terms of problems, but you just get better and you grow as an entrepreneur, right? You grow your confidence, you grow your capacity, you grow your team around you. And so challenges become not easy to handle, but you get better at handling them.
Yeah. I mean, I love the way you just chronicled that. And I see that all the time. And I'm with you in those steps as well. I look at it like, at first it was make ends meet. Those 2 clients you had to sell, you did. Yes, got the relief. Man, I'm with you. Kudos to you, brother. Sell to
Thanks,
eat,
Matt.
sell to pay the rent. I remember those days. So there's that. And then it's getting to 10,000 to 25 to 50 to 100. And every step of the way that some of the best wisdom I've heard you shell out today. This was just amazing. You said that the problems don't go away. They just change in scale. Problems don't go away. They just change in scale. And you outlined quite chronologically, very nicely, like the problems that different entrepreneurs see at different revenue levels or profit levels. So great to hear that you've experienced that. Yeah. What's the big challenge right now at the place your business is right now? What's the challenge you're actively, eagerly trying to solve at the moment?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I think the bigger challenge we've got at the moment is around how do we scale profitably and efficiently, but also keep our team culture. So we've got amazing team members, amazing team culture, and we've got the capacity to double or triple next year. So this year that we're sitting in, that's 2020, was probably one of the slower growth years we've had on purpose, because I wanted to focus on team building and client delivery, and making sure our processes were solid. Leading up to this point, we've pretty much doubled or tripled every single year. And I think we have the capacity to do that again going forward. But the issue is, do we lose, or how do we preserve, I should say, the culture we've already got within the team, and how do we scale profitably? So not just growing for the sake of growing and taking on the wrong work, but how do we keep our employees happy, team members happy, clients happy, but also put more profit into the business?
Yeah, absolutely. What are you finding out so far on this next phase in the journey, Will?
I'm finding out that the way that we've done offers in the past is not going to get us to where we need to go in the future. So we've got a whole process and sales process we've got to build. We've got to re-engineer all of our offers, got to make it even better for clients, even better for ourselves, and sell it in a way that drives more revenue and profit. So that's kind of, we're going back to the basics. We're going back to the building blocks. And we're also finding that as an entrepreneur, I need fresh challenges. I need new types of work to keep me engaged as well. That's definitely something that we're coming across. And we're doing that a little bit differently in terms of, traditionally, or at the moment, we serve a lot of big corporate clients. But over the past few months, we've engaged smaller companies, but doing joint ventures or doing revenue shares, or even investing in buying parts of companies to bring them on board and to keep me interested and engaged.
Man, I love the way you're just so forthcoming and transparent and sharing it. And I'm excited to hear how you solve and continue to evolve with this challenge, because I see this often, and it's one of the big things I coach to and see. So I'm curious how you solve it. Is around, we get to a certain size and we can grow so much more. When with that growth comes fulfillment and expertise to the people to do it. So you got to hire more, most likely, or change your offer. And yeah, how do you hire more and keep that culture? So it's exciting to see that you're in that phase. Man, exciting for you. Well, let's look at this. What are you and your team experts at, Will?
So we've got a really deep expertise in how to write really good copy. So copy is the stuff, the words that you see on marketing, the words that you see on websites. I started as a freelancer in copywriting. So our company is built on the back of really, really world-class copy. Off the back of that, our clients use us for cold emailing, for example. We do a lot of for our clients. And so if they're chasing big enterprise deals, they use us to get them to lead. That's probably what we're best known for. It's probably what we're world-class in.